Good morning. Or, well, it's not morning at all, it's actually evening, so good evening. I'm gonna get back started working on actual work here. So as usual, we're just gonna build our editor and then we'll get started. What we need to do, alright, let's see. It's been a couple days. Took a day off or so, and then after that I went fishing. So it's been a little while, so I gotta figure out what the heck I'm doing. And what we were working on last time is we were working on getting we got the foliage system so we could place individual pieces of foliage, which were not foliage, which were actually blueprints. So let's have some tasks here. So we want to make the blueprint foliage system much simpler. Yeah, simpler. So some big ones we want to look at the falling waterfall in the foreground. We're going to want to look at making a pool of water look nice. We're going to want to look at some depth of field for blurring the background, blurring the outside sky. We're going to want to look at when we do some water stuff here and break it up. So what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to duplicate or recreate this concept art shot here of this cave, and we're trying to make that inside of Unreal one piece at a time. Alright, so what are some other things we're going to need? We're going to need environment, we're going to want the foliage falling. Nicely coming down from above. How do we accomplish this? We're going to want to look at moss on rocks. Can we do this with materials, or so can we do like moss on rocks with materials, or do we need extra geometry for this? Let's see if we've also got this thing going on here. What else are we going to be looking at here shortly? Like, we got the small lights and stuff like that on the mushrooms. I mean, reflective ground might be something. Alright, so for our falling, we're going to need this refraction. For the falling waterfall, we'll need refraction. We'll need reflection. We need ripples on water, and be like, is this dynamic physics? Are these animated decals of some sort? Are these animated material effects? You know, like something like that. What actually powers that? Alright, so let's see what else we've got going on here. Throw this back here. Let's boot it up the editor and see what we actually have at the moment. Which looks awful. It's supposed to look awful. We're just gonna slowly make it look better. Gotta love progress bars. Just sitting here waiting for stuff. The best kind of waiting. So right now everything looks, you know, awful. As it should. So yeah, some of the other things that we're missing the foliage on the outside. So only break this environment thing out. Throw it down here. Alright, so lots of different environment things. So I guess the first thing we should do is just make the blueprint foliage system simpler. So for us to be able to paint stuff with our blueprints, where in the hell were we working out of? Like landscape? Yeah, so we had this mini mushroom blueprint thing, which in its construction it had like a light number and a light radius and like all this other stuff. We made a pretty complex mushroom thing. We had a mesh, we had a material for it, and then we made a static component. Basically, this component you could add on instance create, and create mesh would return our node false, and that would allow you to make something. So what we really should have here is this class right here, this mini mushroom. What is this? This is an actor class. So we want to, if we wanted to use this blueprint for everything else, we'd want to define the piece of stuff. So we want like, we'll call it class, and we'll make it a actor class. Alright, so we'll get this slotted in here. And I think we're pretty much good. Like, that'll make it so you could have any other type of whatever you want. I guess we could have also the folder. We'll put this as a string. Let's see, level folder. Alright, we'll expose both of these. So this class is the class of object to place in the stead of foliage. And this will be the folder and the level to place the object. So what is this? Construct. Target is mini mushroom. Ooh, alright. Yeah, because we need to be able to call a function on these, because this has a construct script which sets up all the stuff on it, which is necessary because the foliage system doesn't actually call like begin play or any of that crap on these things. So what we need is some sort of interface. Let's see, custom foliage interface. And we want is a function called construct. Alright, so what we want is for this mini mushroom to... Where are these? Add, this is going to be in custom foliage interface. Graph name construct already exists. Another one cannot be generated. So let's see, can I override construct or something like that? Why is this all weird over here? Well, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Construct is read only. Construct is already used by another variable or function. What? It's supposedly not. Well, let's see if we can. Well, then why isn't it showing up? Like, if it's already there, then we should be able to do something with this. Implemented interfaces, custom foliage, inherited. Open the interface. Okay, so custom foliage interface is there. We've added this thing. Alright, how the hell do we actually implement this? Alright, so it's an event here from this thing, and I can't see it anywhere on any of this stuff. I should actually just pull everything out of this thing then, shouldn't I? I'll throw it on the event graph. For this thing. Get out of here. How do we throw an event on ourselves here? Call function. Yeah, okay, here we go. Could I find variable scale? I guess we just gotta remake all this stuff. So we need light, which is what? Yeah. Light component. Oh, I hit the down arrow button. It's a point light component. Okay, so light needs to be a point light component. And now the editor's frozen? It's like, what? Alright, there it goes. There it goes. Inner construct, what we're going to call is construct as if it's a custom foliage interface. And then what we're going to want to do is throw this in the level folder. And we're just going to append a slash to the front of it to get it to go where we want it to inside of our level folder. Alright, so this is saying must have a target reference. There we go. We now do. Alright, cool. So this thing can now be used generically. And you'll be able to slot in anything that you want and then create your custom foliage. You just have to override the event from the construction event in order to actually do stuff. I can't move over? What? Ah. Alright, cool. There we go. Alright, so we have money mushroom, we have our mushroom there, and then we've got our test static mesh component. We should have, this will be custom foliage creator? Yeah, custom foliage component. And basically, this is because inside of Unreal you can't actually place custom, like blueprinted objects onto surfaces using the foliage stuff, but you can use a custom component class. And what we did was we overrode, we went and created an onInstance created event that this thing would fire whenever it actually put down like a mushroom here. And instead of creating a mushroom, we have it spawn whatever we want, in this case an actual blueprint object. So we can use the foliage editing tools to place blueprinted things, and the reason we needed to do that because this mushroom actually is, it's got 3-point lights around it, or how many point lights you want around it, and stuff like that. So the question would be also if we wanted any custom values for this, in which case I think we'd just use a different blueprint. Like if you wanted to make a red mushroom instead of a blue mushroom, you just make a different mushroom blueprint object and slap that down. Okay, so we're going to throw this inside of... Do we have a good folder for stuff that we want in our... I think this is test content landscape. I don't think so. Materials, this isn't really a material, it's not a particle. We got geometry meshes. I want to put stuff together, not like all componentized to hell out and everywhere else, because it's not like if somebody touches this mushroom mesh, I don't want, random things to break. It's like, no, this is like blue mushroom. So I think we want like content slash, like cave, like content, cave, doodads, mushroom or something. So we like content level types. I mean, I guess maybe I could call them content slash assets. I mean, it's kind of bullshit, isn't it? Content slash... This is one of the other difficult parts of game development, which is picking good names and organizational patterns so that things actually make sense. I guess maybe just objects. Like, we put objects in here, then we put something that's called like cave. And then inside of this cave folder, we're going to throw our mushroom stuff. And then where should our custom stuff go? So custom foliage, I'm just gonna take like a little... I always like throwing some sort of thumbnail on here to kind of show what it is. So we got the custom foliage interface, custom foliage component. I think we should put it under like editor, like content, editing, something like that. Editing, and then landscape. Where in the hell did that go? Right there it is. The alphabet. How does it work? Foliage? No, we don't need to go that far. We can just call it landscape. So let's throw it in there. So that looks pretty good. And the reason we got like these little chunks here is because of some other stuff. Alright, well let's build our lighting real quick so that we can get rid of all that stuff. And yeah, that cleaned up all those little static mushroom light things. And yeah, we've got, because this is static baked in lighting, it does like per vertex lighting stuff. So these vertices are all stretched and look stupid. So it's kind of like if you got static lighting, if you have it on geometry that's not very good, it's going to look real crap like that. If this was dynamic lighting, it would look better. So it's really, that's okay. Our geometry will be better for rocks and stuff like that we actually want to use. Alright, so we finished our first task here. So now we need like some sort of waterfall thing that falls down into the middle of the scene. So one of the things we got to make basically is this big waterfall that comes down here and then it comes into this pool. So do we have a nice pool area here? No, we don't. So let's make our little pool area. And what I'll do is I'll raise these rocks around here to try to make some sort of pool-like structure. So yeah, we'll just make a slightly area here where we can get this water to, theoretically pour out of the front of our cavern. Like, and this is just a real awful, like, hodgepodge of stuff. We'd be using real geometry for something, not test. But we need to know what kind of geometry we're going to need to make before we can actually, before we want to actually spend our time to make all that crazy stuff. We want to actually have, an idea about what the hell we need to actually make. That's always one of the problems. It's like you waste a whole bunch of time building assets, and then you're like, well, that didn't work. Those assets are all wrong because, we need inverted normals or whatever the hell, and then you gotta remake everything. That's just real frustrating. That might be in the water, so we need to get it up a little bit. And here's another problem. I can't see what the hell is even over there, can I? And even if there was a pool of water, I can't see the ground. Wow, that's almost worse. Yeah, it didn't make an effect. did not have an effect at all. Like if we were up there on a platform, like we could go put ourselves some rock right in the middle. The only reason we'd be able to see anything is if it was, you know, like literally we have to fall down. So for me to actually make this area look anywhere near good, I need something where you can actually go run up on our little rock area and take a look at it. Otherwise, there's no point in this damn thing. Yeah, so something like that will work pretty well for us to be able to view this area. We're stuck in the wall. Alright, let's put ourselves on top of that to start with. I think that'll do it. There we are. Alright, so this should help us see kind of what's going on. But I think we need to be farther over because we need to see this like waterfall come out of here, so farther. 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 Even farther than that. That's another thing with game dev. You're just like, well, where is everything? Yeah, so that looks kind of like the framing for the picture. Alright, cool. Let's throw our start point over in the right spot. That looks good. Hello, Sanacron. Yes, I am back to actually doing work after a couple days of doing a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, by a whole lot of nothing, I mean a whole lot of fishing. Alright, so we need to get that cave pool working out here. So why don't we just slap down a water plane and see what we can do with that. And let's make sure we're saving everything here, because we can crash the editor. So I'm going to make another folder for test contents. I'm going to call this one water. And we're going to throw some stuff in here. Yeah, wow. It's amazing how bad a lot of this stuff looks when it's not on an angle. With this perspective we've got going on, I really have to emphasize everything in order to get it to come out. Because there's going to be like this pretty water right here, and like there's no way in hell to see it. You know, like, because the camera is looking at like a -5 angle. Like we have this Bitey perspective player camera sort of thing, which is using Bitey perspective camera. Bitey perspective camera has a -5 downward angle. We would have to basically angle this not at this 5-degree slope, but we have to angle it up or something like that. Have to be flat. And that's another thing about how we have to actually build some of these levels is we got to learn exactly how we do that. Alright, well let's get some water in here. So let's grab our water. So for this to work, water needs to be kind of like you can just see exactly what I'm talking about with this whole thing. So if we've got this water, wow, yeah, that's water. So we need to bring stuff way the hell up for this to work. Should have put the water in here first, shouldn't I have? Raw licorice tastes weird? What? It's just licorice. You mean black licorice? Or you mean just like literally raw licorice root or something? What the hell am I looking at here? That's the track. This is the thing. So we need this thing to come up. Licorice root, yeah. And yet somebody was like, somebody found it. Was like, you know what? This would be great candy. Alright, so it looks like using a flat ground choice, using flat ground probably works better for this sort of scene where we don't have that much depth. Alright, that makes sense. Roll down for better properties. It's like that one scene in Star Trek where Data drinks the like really awful booze or whatever the hell, and he's like, "That was awful. I'll have another." Okay, this is starting to look more like, you know, the cave that we're trying to make. So I am encouraged. And this is without like the planar reflections. This is with just like the basic reflection stuff, which is also pretty cool. Let's get rid of all this. That's also another thing that we're doing here is we're trying to learn how to build our levels and like what's going to be required. So a lot of this stuff here where I'm like, well, you know, you can't really place the stuff onto your, you can't place the mushrooms and rocks and everything until you get your actual stuff put together here. It's just like place foliage last. Well, it might make sense, but it's not always obvious how important some of these things are until you actually do them. Is this one of those litmus tests? You find out you're one of the people who can taste it. It's so interesting that it has this just flat line. There's no glow on the water. It's just like, nah, that thing's not lit, so the hell with it. Probably has to do with bloom. Alright, so for this area to work properly, we're going to need a little bit more space, I think. Maybe we could just have a little bit more space in the back. Something like this. You can't even enjoy absinthe. Man, well, life sucks, Calvin. And it's only going to get worse. No. Alright, let's see. That's looking okay. Am I missing? Yeah, I'm missing some areas. Oh. Well, we'll just scale it some more. Every problem can be solved by just making things a little bit bigger, right? No. Is that a hole in the rock face? Just put a rock in the way. Alright, so it's starting to look like we actually have, you know, a thing, but of course the reflections look really bad because like it's not rendering the rocks that would be reflected onto this water surface. So it looks like trash. Looks like okay most of the time, then it just looks like trash. Alright, why don't we have one of these rocks here come out like this. So we get kind of this shoreline that we can look at a little bit. Alright, that works. And I kind of like the look of that, like a big open pool of water. It's, of course, bigger than the concept pool here. But that's the point, right? The game should be bigger in every way. You're like, those baby waterfalls. Nah, we got gigantic Niagara Falls all over the place. Is that a cave or a sewer? When in doubt, scale it out. Is that a cave or a sewer? Well, I mean, it's Brackenwood. Yes. No, it's a cave basically. The idea is we'd like to be able to have a lot of areas like this, right? The idea being that you could go into something in the middle of the day and you'd have this nice indoor cavern area. So it'd be like, oh man, you know, just under the surface of this bright, brilliantly lit day is this real cool. It's so circular, too perfect. Well, it's kind of hard to make circles, you know, out of these horrible rock crappy formations that I've got. I'm only working with, you know, crappy little sticks and stones here. It kind of looks like there's sand or something here. It's like a different material than the rest of the rocks. And it probably has to do with the lighting, so I need to rebuild this and see what that actually looks like. Because the static lighting will change the entire scene here. In fact, if this was supposed to be realistic, light would be coming in, reflecting off of the water, and like illuminating the rest of the cave, right? And you'd have this kind of weird area. Alright, so we got our water. I mean, I guess we're going to have our spectral reflection, but I'll take a look at it later. But this water here, I kind of want to make it into a water blueprint. So I'm going to do test content water, and for this water thing, I'm going to make a water blueprint. So we're just going to call it test water. And I'll take a little snapshot for it. What? I can't make a little snapshot of it. That's so stupid. Oh well. Waves of light? Yeah, that's true. Alright, so the next thing we gotta do is make a waterfall. So, as with all awesome things, how are we gonna make a waterfall? Let's go to one of our prototype levels here, this sunset over waterfall, and let's grab, hands down, the best waterfall of all time as a starting point. I'm gonna fly over here and snag this thing. And this right here is the best waterfall of all time. Absolutely wonderful. So we're gonna go back to our other level. A decal? I think we're gonna have to do some real complex stuff with the water, for the waterfall and all that. So let's just make it work. Yeah, waterfall. It's the worst waterfall. It's just awful. Jesus. All right. Let's put it in here. So we need to scale this thing. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. Ice cream treadmill. Yeah, it. Hopefully it'll look good. Hopefully. Alright, so for this to work, this waterfall is going to need, there's a lot of things this water should do, right? Like water is supposed to come together at the base. We need, so basically this thing needs to have like some sort of vertex or pixel geometry change. So we need waterfall to quote unquote come together as it falls. Alright, so this is how you take your concept art and you put it in E4. You just take the window of your picture and then you just slide it over the editor and you just say like this is actual gameplay footage. And then you do the reveal and you're like, ah, Jesus Christ, what the hell? Everyone's like, ah, this looks amazing, look at that shit. Alright, so this is the mesh for this is this. And the material for this is this waterfall pan. So I'm going to want to snag this and throw it in water, and we're going to call copy here. We're going to do waterfall 1. Yeah. And for this waterfall fall plane, and we have a second thing as well. We've got this thing like this. Well, we'll see. I think we want plane 1. So we're going to call this test waterfall. And this is going to be test waterfall mesh. And this we should call this one test waterfall material. And I could probably have like, a shorter notation for these things, and we'll probably make one. But until we do, like, actually have kind of this is how we need to make things, I've just opened it again. Alright, so let's slot in proper stuff for this. And let's see, what is our scale for this object? Like, this is X, This is Z. It looks like our scale for our Z does affect. Alright. Yeah, it's obvious that this map is based off of kind of these vertex textures coming down, not like some sort of world space texture coordinate transform or whatever. So that's why it's all weird as hell looking. We need to use world space texture coordinates for this thing to look anywhere near decent. Break things until they work right? Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's go grab our planar reflection and throw it in here. So let's see, this guy is at 3670. If there is a way to not have Unreal work in these stupid ass numbers, like, is it really too much to just be like, just, you know, just stop it already. Give me some whole numbers. I don't need to see all this crap. Even if it's there, like, just, I don't really care. You know, if there's like a little round button, round to nearest 10, I'd be pretty happy with that. Who knows? I might get pissed off at some point and just actually do that. Just go make a little button that rounds it out. Alright, so I'm gonna make a new folder here. Pix waterfall. Let's just call this waterfall. And let's grab our planar reflection and throw it. No, our planar reflection. We need our own little folder called water. Throw water and planar reflection into it. Call this one waterfall. So planar reflection needs to match this thing.